going on, everyone? Happy Friday night. A little late here. Was enjoying the PGA Showdown show with Snyder and Tambo. Definitely fired out some PGA lineups during that show. That was a nice addition to the Friday night. Um, we are here to talk the Saturday Main Slate college basketball on DraftKings. Here as always. Well, I guess except last week, I had to ride solo last week. Gavin, what's going on? You just kind of left me in the lurch last week.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It looked like you took care of it yourself, but here we are back with, I felt like the last couple Saturdays we've had one of those 80 players in play type slates. And boy, you're going to be buckling up for some greasy ass plays on this one. Pricing is thin. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah. First look pricing is pretty thin. Kurt is also here with us. Kurt, what's going on, man?
What's up? Wow, I think what's up? Left for a little bit. I've only looked at pricing a little bit, but it's been tight all week, so it'll be weird having the first Saturday like that.
Yeah, we've got one or two more Saturdays before March, kind of getting into where teams have got 4 or 5 games left. Any just kind of overall thoughts here, Gavin, on the state of college basketball, or just any overall thoughts that aren't slate related here?
Yeah, you're in the time of the year where when we're 3 weeks away from, is it 3 weeks, 4 weeks away from Selection Sunday? I mean, there's going to be a lot of the rematch narratives and kind of the second round of teams playing one another. You're also at the point where you're starting to factor in and handicap a lot more heavily teams that are low in bench minutes, teams thin on the depth chart whose legs might be going. Look at like a Houston, for example. Yeah, they ended up kind of kicking the shit out of UCF, certainly, but they're certainly thin on the depth, and we might be starting to see it. So, a couple different factors come into this point of the season as opposed to previously. So let's jump in and get to it.
Yeah, we got a 12-game slate, so let's get right to it. The first game on the slate is a really good one. It was a tight one when they played it at Illinois. We got Illinois at Michigan State. Ken Pom's got Illinois 15th, Michigan State 24th. Gavin, why don't we start with you on this one with the particulars in the betting market?
The old 140 total, dead pick 'em down the middle. Kind of an interesting spot here. Illinois has lost 2 of their last 3. They had a pretty bad Rutgers showing where, even though Kofi had a good outing himself, kind of the guards collectively took a big shit. This is their second straight road game, and going from, I think Rutgers is in Piscataway, New Jersey or something like that.
Piscataway?
Piscataway. I'm an ignorant Californian. So,
you don't want to know where it is. Don't worry.
Now going to Lansing, not an ideal travel spot. So, interesting here. I mean, it feels pretty coin flippy, but Sparty lost 3 of their last 4, all to teams outside the Ken Pom top 30, and 2 of those 3 were on the road. So, they did have an impressive home win versus Indiana by 15 during that stretch, but road Indiana is one of the most abysmal teams in the Big Ten themselves.
Yeah. I want to be on Illinois here just because I'm not high on Michigan State long term, Gavin, but I think it's going to be tough for me to back them until Curbelo is, fully back. He's playing, 18, 20 minutes right now. And Plummer's just been so awful defensively. Not that Curbelo's a stud, but I think that he is the key to this team, especially going into the tournament. So, going to be looking to see him push past 30 minutes here soon, hopefully by the beginning of March and conference tournament time. Why don't we go to you, Kurt? Any plays on this game from the Illinois side? What do you think about Kofi here sitting at 9-2? He's kind of sat around this price for a couple weeks now.
It's tough with how pricing is today. I'll probably have a share, but and I haven't built yet, so I don't really. It feels like a pretty safe spot. I mean, as long as he doesn't foul, to get walking to 30, 40. But what I really have they came out and does anyone know when Curb's going to be off this minute limit? Is it?
They said that they wanted to keep his minutes limited until March.
Until okay,
So
that's okay. I remember hearing that now. That's
so he's been right around that 20 for a couple games now. The price
what
is
if he
low.
comes out and just like is having a great game? Like I feel like they're not going to be like, all right, you know what? If it's a tight game and he's going off, I
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, I put him in the playbook just for that one
Yeah,
reason. I think you can play him in tournaments. What do you think about the Illinois guys here, Gavin?
Well, first the team. I mean, they played an absolute rock fight of a game back on the 25th of January, 56-55, and Illinois was missing that one random Kofi Cockburn dude. So they're going to get him
that
back in
bomb.
this matchup. Michigan State, for all the credit that we give them with that rotational front line, they're 142nd in post-up defensive point per possession. They didn't face Kofi that last time. So, yeah, I feel like Kofi is kind of a less offensive version, more offensive and less kind of defensive and peripheral minded big to Oscar. And if Oscar wasn't in the complete butt nut spot of his entire life, I would think about playing Kofi. But I'll tell you, like, Trent Frazier is starting to get to the point where I think you now got to consider him, especially if Plummer is going to continue to play like the pumpkin that we know him to be. I think with what is he 6'4"? I think at this point,
Yeah, his price has
6'4".
come down a bit.
I think is at least relatively interesting because we've seen him, especially when the offense has been lacking, kind of take these more alpha roles and get really good shot volume with plenty of peripheral upside too as well.
Yeah, the three guys I have written down are Kofi, Frazier, and Curbelo, just as a tournament play. I think Frazier's fine. He's going to play the whole game here, Gavin. 37, 33, and 33 minutes their last three games. 35% assist rate. I think Frazier's pretty safe. I'm just not sure if he has like a huge ceiling at 6'5" when usually the guys in the low sevens you're looking for 30 plus from, and he's kind of close to that. So is there anyone on the Michigan State side for you here, Kurt? I usually
Like
full avoid Michigan
yeah,
State on big slates.
I mean, you said the first thing you do is like you pull up the slate and you look at the first game and it's like, go and check the rates and nothing stood out rates wise for player or for like defensive stats. And I was just like, I'm not going to force myself onto this game. I mean, the total's not terrible, but I'm just, I don't like it.
Yeah. Michigan State's playing 9 guys like 18 to 30 minutes right now. Gavin,
They're going to have
is
a
there
four that goes off. But
yeah. Is there anything that interests you on the Michigan State side here?
I mean, there's a little bit of sticker shock with seeing Gabe Brown at 5'5", and feels like he probably brings you a pretty good floor here at home. Other than that, I don't know if I'm really even mixing in many Michigan State guys just because of kind of where their pricing is at compared to what the minute in their rotation looks like on the team.
Yeah, I think Michigan State's a full pass for me. If you're going through the playbook on Run Pier, I mentioned a couple guys. Christie's kind of like a cash play, not going to kill you, but has no upside. Since we have Drunk Barrick in the chat, I will mention Julius Marbles at 3.8, and he's played 24 and 21 minutes the last 2 games. Maybe because of foul trouble, but his role is increasing.
Because
He's got
God knows he won't draw fouls against Kofi by any means.
right.
How long does that take?
22%.
90 seconds for him to pick up 2? I mean, first 3 possessions, Julius Marble has 2 fouls. Bank it.
Yeah. No, I that's a joke. Don't play Julius Marble. We'll go to the next game here. TCU at Baylor. Ken Palm's got TCU 59th, Baylor 4th in the country still. Baylor just lost JTT. We've seen them play 1 game since then. Flo Thamba, I think he got into a little bit of foul trouble there. I don't remember exactly. I tweeted about it during their game. I think their best path moving forward is to play Sohan at the 5 and run like a smaller, just hyper athlete lineup. Gavin, what do you think about this game overall?
So we got 137.5 total. Baylor laying 12 at home. Baylor off a road loss at Tech. Actually their 3rd road loss in their last 4 road games, but coming back home when they're 8-6 against the spread. TCU's lost 3 of their last 4 after they had 2 pretty impressive wins versus LSU at home and at OU. I think those are both quad one wins. So, we'll see. It's tough matchup wise. We'll get into some of the betting, but you got TCU who turns the ball over against Baylor 13th and forcing the turnover. You got a bad TCU offense at best. Even with Miles back against Baylor, who I think is highly functional. And yeah, I wonder if it's instead of just trading out Thamba and JTT for one another, if you go to kind of a completely different look, does it make Baylor more versatile and tougher to match up and game plan against?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Sohan long term. I hope that he continues to gain minutes. You brought up the point that I was going to with the turnovers. TCU 328th, and like you said, Baylor 13th in defensive turnover rate. Just kind of a tough spot for TCU here. Kurt, on the DFS side, we've used the big man Eddie Lampkin a couple times recently. What do you think about him? And is there anyone else on TCU that you like here?
That's the first thing I was going to bring up. Is I think this will be the first time I'm hopping off because he's always right at the 10-10 line, and I just feel like the ceiling might be capped with the price.
Yeah,
we saw him
up
like
about
30.
1,000 since we were playing him.
Yeah, I think I'm hopping off. He's good. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 10-10, if he gets a couple block steals, and he'll easily probably get you there, but it's risk.
Yeah, his minutes have been good lately. He's got 28 plus and 3 straight. Gavin, what do you think about Lampkin and TCU? And then why don't you hop over to Baylor too?
I think Lampkin is fine. He feels a little bit more cashy, like Kurt was saying, in terms of having a cap ceiling. And so yeah, I have no problem with people looking at Lampkin. Other than that, on TCU, man, I don't know where else you look. Maybe you take a GPP shot on someone like a Mike Miles, but given that Baylor is a little bit softer, kind of guarding the point guard and the shooting guard position, but certainly not in a main lineup atmosphere. Just a GPP mix-in kind of at best, and then a couple guys on Baylor, pretty interesting. Can I interest you, Freddie Lampkin? How about guard-eligible Flo Thamba at 5K? I love
No way.
The guard-eligible guys that can pick up a potential double-double.
JTT, if he was healthy, is also guard-eligible. I'm seeing that too.
Yeah.
Gavin, one interesting thing on Baylor, even though you said this game total isn't great, I'm seeing a 75 implied team total here. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think they're pretty much tied at kind of the second tier. After you get out of Kentucky and Ohio State, then you get the Wake Forest, the Iowas, the Bamas, and Baylor's kind of right there within a point of one another. So yeah, and they got, look, Akinjo, what does he have? 3 straight 30-plus fantasy point performances at 7.4K, certainly in play. Probably, again, a little bit more cashy, and I think Flagler's kind of in a similar boat. Especially with Cryer back, it probably caps some of his ceiling. So, yeah, I think the Baylor guys are certainly in consideration, and especially if it's a slate where we think value is thin, maybe we do look a little bit more towards the Baylor end of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested here in a couple of Baylor guys. I'm not sure, like you said, if their main team, just because we're not exactly sure how this is going to work out with JTT out, just because Thamba did foul that last game. I think Thamba's fine, not exciting. 23% rebound rate, but he has a 5% shot rate on the season, so not much upside there. I really want to play Sohan here. I'm just not sure if this is the slate. I kind of want to see it first, but it was encouraging to see him get 28 minutes in that last game. If that ticks up any more, he would be really interesting moving forward. And then I think Flagler is a really good play here, Gavin. 21% shot rate, kind of a tourney only just because he doesn't do much else. But those are the 3 guys that I would be looking at. Kendall Brown just doesn't do enough while he's out there, even though his long-term upside is there. Any last words on this one, Kurt, before we move on?
Not really. I flow Thamba, I'm going to sprinkle him in, but nope.
All right, we'll move on. Big East game here. Xavier trying to get back on track. they've kind of scuffled lately, losing 3 of their last 4. They're 38th now at Ken Palm Gavin, kind of slipping a bit. UConn at 18th on Ken Palm. Kind of a pace up here for UConn. Xavier's still sitting right around 100th in tempo. Xavier's been pretty weak defensively in the paint in conference play. They're 10th out of 11 in the Big East in 2-point percentage defense. And UConn, obviously the exact opposite, 5th in the defensive 2-point percentage. What do you think overall here with the game, Gavin, and any bets for you?
So we got 140 total. UConn laying 6.5 at home. I mean, you talk about Xavier. Yeah, super frustrating holding futures when you're just watching the Travis Steele meltdown occur in real time. But, look, Xavier's got some upside. That being said, UConn off 2 straight wins following that road loss at Cintas, back on the 11th where Xavier didn't have Kunkel. Xavier shot 56% from the field, which was actually like UConn's lowest effective field goal percentage given up when fully healthy, pretty much since for like 2.5, for like 2 months, pretty much. So in the Nova game where Eric Dixon went 10 of 14 as a 2% outcome type deal, but yeah, it's the Xavier Big East defense, dude. It's been really bad. 8th in the conference. The 3 teams below them are such a complete tier below them in terms of talent level. It's really bad to see. 10th in defensive effective field goal percentage. That being said, they did hold Sunogo to 6 shots last game in 25 minutes, his lowest figure since the start of 2022. So, kind of interesting scenario. You got Xavier has that unique 2 big heavy lineup versus a super long UConn team that tries to win on pressuring and running you off the 3-point line. So pretty good matchup right here. Don't really have a lean on side or total in all honesty.
Yeah, the total here was a little higher than I expected. Kurt, what do you think? Let's start on the UConn side. Sonogo was priced down for a couple slates, fouled in one game, smashed the other. He's at 7K here. What do you think about him and then the rest of UConn?
So I think he's good for sprinkle in for some GPPs because, the fouls, gosh. Especially with guys who can actually come in, bring it in, make him foul. I could see him having foul trouble, but I can also see him going for like 40 again. So GPP play only. Tyrese Martin, but here's what happens. I like Tyrese Martin because when I watch how he shot last Saturday or last Sunday.
Yeah, when he did nothing in the first half and then hit 7 threes, right on my face in the second half.
It was great. And another thing is when Sonogo does get in that foul trouble, Martin's crashing so hard and he's soaking up all those rebounds. So when Sonogo does get in foul trouble, that's at least 3 or 4 more rebounds for Martin. So if he's not making the threes, he has that floor now of fucking 10 rebounds now. So
yeah, that's Martin. A good point. Yeah, we've seen him. When Sonogo was out, Martin's rebound rate did skyrocket there. Any thoughts on that and Sonogo, Gavin? And then is there anyone on Xavier? I haven't seen an update on Nate Johnson, but we saw Kunkel and Odom both play pretty much exactly 25 minutes last game.
Dude, Sonogo's 7K. He's second in the conference in percentage possessions. He's 21st in effective field goal. He's second in offensive rebounding percentage and defensive rebounding percentage. He's 6th in block rate. He's 4th in fouls drawn per 40. Like at 7K, at least when he was 8 and 8.9K for those 2 games, it at least kind of forced the decision. And the matchup doesn't really get me warm and fuzzy, in all honesty, against this Xavier front line. But I think I'm going back to him here just at the 7K, especially I'm more trying to avoid landmines. And I think Sonogo gives you at least a pretty good floor. Even if he gets, 23 to 26 minutes, we've still seen him rate out, really well with especially the shot rate. They chuck it into him. He throws it up so often. It's actually mind-boggling as a frequent UConn bettor. It pisses you off, but you play him all the time in DFS because he gives you a pretty good floor kind of all the way around.
Yeah, he also has that good block rate Gavin, and we've seen guys with that high block rate really smash slates. Sonogo's one of them. I think he should be around 8K. He's probably 1,000 too cheap here. I think he's because he's at home. I think he's main team consideration for sure. Because he has played 32 plus minutes in games that he doesn't foul, and like we've been saying, Xavier weaker defensively than they have been previously. Gavin, was there any interest in Kunkel or anyone on the Xavier side? We've seen them really condense their minutes around those four guys: Scruggs, Colby Jones, Nunge, and Fremantle.
Yeah, if Nunge's, Nunge's been a goddamn machine, dude. It's been great to kind of watch him, blossom into a pretty much an alpha score over the last, month or so for them. Still sub 8K. I think is kind of an interesting leverage play to what will likely be some relatively heavy ownership on Sonogo. I think Colby Jones and Paul Scruggs are kind of similar plays in their own rights, where they're going to give you a good floor because you get good minutes, and they kind of they pad the stat sheet in all facets. But you're banking on what seems like a pretty outlier outcome, just given what we've seen from the entire Xavier rotation during the year. Kunkel didn't do, or he was out against UConn, sorry, but didn't do much. Last game when he played. That being said, he's still only 3.8, so GPP mix-in, I think he's more interesting than Odom because he can hit a shot from further than 2 feet away, which Odom is, only capable of. So, yeah, I got some GPP interest in Kunkel, but probably not going to get to too much Xavier. And I'm not looking to play on road teams going to UConn, frankly.
Yeah, I think Kunkel's in consideration here just because, like you said, it's tough to score on UConn inside, and he's one of the only guys that can do it outside. And we do have some elite studs in very, very good spots on the slate that are expensive. All right, we will move on to the next game here. Texas Tech at Texas.
Oh, I love Kunkel.
You want Kunkel here?
On the road, love it. If Dave Johnson's out,
yeah,
give me 11 shots. I promise you, he'll get me there. Chuck, baby.
Yeah, I mean he got there last game shooting 3 of 10, 3 of 11,
yeah,
something
3 of 11.
That. Yeah, I think
I'm on board.
Kunkel's a solid value with upside. So Texas rematch of the big game a couple weeks ago where Texas Tech kind of took them to the woodshed at home. Now we're at Texas. Ken Palm's got Texas Tech 12th, Texas 14th. Tech has kind of bounced back nicely after the Oklahoma loss that, Gavin, I think we called on this show, beating TCU and Baylor at home. They forced teams to shoot a bunch of threes, 46.4% opponent three-point attempt per field goal attempt, which is 11th highest in the country. And, as we know, they're tough to score on in the paint. Texas back home after, a week on the road, looking for revenge here. What do you think about this game, Gavin?
Yeah, this line has been going bonkers in the offshore market. The first look that I saw on BetOnline was Texas -1.5. I bet it for a unit. It went all the way to Texas Tech -2, and I forked down another good chunk because I just disagreed with it. Now Texas is -3.5. The line has basically swung all the way back, but still, like you mentioned, 126.5 complete meat grinder total. And pretty much where I got to with Texas was, Tech off the big Baylor win. Obviously, we've heard about they're up to number 1 in home court advantage on KenPom at 4.8 points, but they've been very spotty on the road. Last time they won at Baylor, when Baylor was without Sohan back on the 11th, since then, they lost by 15 at OU. They beat West Virginia at West Virginia without Taz Sherman in a game that was neck and neck. They had the double overtime loss at KU. Okay, good. Another 11-point loss at K-State. And before the Baylor game, it was another loss at Iowa State, the 51-47 one. So I don't trust this Texas Tech team at home. The defense travels. There's no real material drop-offs, but the offense is a different story. They're top 50 in adjusted offensive efficiency, but it drops to 198th on the road, 66 in effective field goal percentage, but drops to 287th on the road. And so this is a spot, I think, like you mentioned, with the Texas revenge. I don't want to hear all this nonsense about the Texas Tech, tickets and all this ridiculousness. Two teams that know each other, know what the coaches want to do. I think this is a great spot on Texas. You're when I'm betting Texas, I want to bet them at home, and when I'm fading Tech, I want to fade them on the road. So I think perfect spot right here.
Yeah, and also McCullough, I think, is going to miss this game too, who is a key piece for Texas Tech. Kurt, we have a low total here. Do you like anything DFS wise in this game? Prices are down across the board, and we do have a high usage guy in McCullough, probably out for Texas Tech.
I never play Texas people, besides maybe occasionally Andrew Jones, just for fun. But I actually like Arms a little bit against Texas. Sprinkle in Terry Shannon maybe, but I don't play these guys. Don't play him.
Yeah, I actually wanted to play Terry Shannon in that Baylor game and just didn't get to it. He was at the same price too, and he played well, looked healthy. Gavin, we've seen him kind of battle multiple injuries this year, but when he's out there, I think he's their most active and best player. He's got an 18% shot rate last three. Anyone in DFS playable for you here with McCullough out? And Trey, we should mention that Trey Mitchell is also out for Texas.
Yeah, so I think first we got to look at Texas Tech when you free up someone with the usage and role that McCullough has. O'Banner has been shooting the lights out of the gym. I don't think that any player has averaged more shots that hit the rim 2+ times before going in from three than O'Banner. It's kind of absurd.
We had 3 or 4 just last game.
I mean, he did it versus Texas the first time too. But dude, Terry Shannon, we're talking about a 7.5K type talent at 5.3 without his other kind of main usage guy to soak it up. Now, I'll tell you what, as much as I don't like playing Texas guys, I hate even more playing guys on the road at Texas. That being said, Terry Shannon should get his shots up. And if I'm going to choose to pick at the Texas, defense, it's probably going to be from the guard spot. So yeah, probably Terry Shannon first and foremost for me. I think Bryson Williams is a pretty interesting GPP mix in, especially if he can get kind of more shots from the outside. And then, Arms as well. We've seen Arms have some pretty good games, but we've also seen Mark Adams kind of rotate a couple of those guards from time to time. So maybe Warren steps in for some of the role more. Maybe it's Nadolny or Wilson. So not really sure here what to make kind of the backup Texas Tech guys. I'll probably take Shannon or pass.
Yeah, like if you're playing a Texas Tech guard at 5K, are you really playing Arms over TJ Shannon?
I can't imagine, regardless of what you might think that Arms might have peripheral wise over Shannon.
And then I do want to mention just real quick on the Texas side, Gavin, I think was first on his role expanding. Christian Bishop, our boy from Creighton, has him playing his way into a larger role here. And now that Trey Mitchell's gone, he did see 29 minutes last game. He's got a 25% rebound rate last three. Again, we probably spent too much time on this game, but just want to reiterate that we need to find some cheaper plays on the slate because there's so many good studs. And while these guys aren't, complete budget plays, I think that they are solid for 5K. I think TJ Shannon and Bishop are the best two. Let's keep them moving here to a really good game.
Ooh, I like
Bama at Kentucky, a rematch from a game a couple weeks ago. I think it was on the night slate, Gavin. A game that had uber high pace. I think there was 74, 75 possessions, but the game ended 66-55 because of poor shooting. Ken Palm's got Bama at 19th, Kentucky at 3rd. Kentucky, I think, is going to miss Ty Washington here. Severe Wheeler was holding his wrist at the end of the last game. I think he plays here, but clearly not 100%. What do you think overall about the game and the spot for Bama here with the Kentucky injuries?
Yeah, we got 154.5 total, so best total on the entire slate, with Kentucky laying 6.5. But the spread's been bet down 2 points. Very likely on kind of the back of the realization that Ty wasn't going to play. But Kentucky, best team total on the entire slate, by more than a full point. So we got to look there. You mentioned the first game, 66-55. I mean, Bama at home was 0.74 points per possession. 3 from 30 from 3. 3 for 30 at home. Just
That was hurtful. I had stacked up that game on a late slate too, and I was at the bar watching it. It just was not happening.
Yeah, here's one thing I noticed about Bama was, it really stepped up their interior defense last 2 games. Arkansas against them was 16-49 inside the arc. Mississippi State, an interior focused and based team, went 20-51. 2 teams that probably should have beaten them way better inside. That's been their 2 best figures all year since the Oakland game back on November 19th. So do we buy this? I think is the main question of whether you get down on Bama or Kentucky or where you fall in the game. But it's going to be tested. Kentucky was 20-49 from 2 last game. They only took 11 threes. I imagine they shoot better than 20-49, even if they don't have Ty.
Yeah, I was super interested when I saw this open at 9.5, but of course by the time it opened up on legal books, it was at 6.5. So like I do with most Bama games, I'll probably wait until they get down early and then live bet them at a large number. Gavin, we had a question in the chat hopping back to that last game. Andrew Jones played 43 out of 45 minutes in that last game. It was their first game without Mitchell. He started for the first time in a while. He's at 5K tomorrow. Do you think that change in role sticks? Because he was playing 18 to 20 beforehand and then pops up for a 43.
It might stick, but what I know is going to stick is that Terry Shannon is $300 more without Kevin McCullough in the lineup. So you can't play. I don't want to say you can't play Jones over Shannon because Terry Shannon's still going to be somewhat scoring reliant, but it's going to be really hard for me to play Jones over Shannon at a $300 price difference.
Yeah. All right, Kurt, we'll go to you for this Bama Kentucky game. I'll give you the layup. Why don't you talk about Kentucky first? Are you playing Oscar here?
Jacob Toppin, baby. Jacob Toppin season. Nah, I'm gonna have some Oscar. I mean, it's just like, God, he's so fucking good. It's nuts. Over the weekend I got to watch 2 complete games of his, and it was just like, oh my God, like it's nuts, dude. Like 20 and 20 is possible every single night, no matter the matchup. Like the dude's a freak.
Yeah, and we saw him struggle in that Tennessee game. He actually struggled in both Tennessee games this year, Gavin. That's something, come conference tournament play, something
still
to kind
40 though. Still 40.
File away. I
know.
He struggled in the game. But what I wanted to bring up, Gavin, was the last time Ty missed, he kind of missed most of that Auburn game and then missed the Mississippi State game. Oscar crushed in both games. We saw his shot rate rise. Is Oscar a lock for you tomorrow? And then is there anyone else on Kentucky here that interests you with Ty being out? We were playing Mintz when Ty was out earlier, but he was around 4K. He's 1,000 more. You're playing Mintz over guys like TJ Shannon, the guys from the last game that we were talking about.
Yeah, I had a note here about, the game that Ty missed. They played a 77 possessions in overtime, and for context, last time they played Bama, they played, like you said, 74 possessions. They just played South Carolina to 79 in regulation. Is there a chance they slow down? I guess. Kellen Grady did play 43 minutes the last game without Ty. He took 11 threes. But he also has 0 games this year. 0. Sorry. He has 1 game this year with 3 or more rebounds, and he had 3. And he has 1 game this year with 3 or more assists, and he had 3. So he's basically got to light fire from 3, which I guess he can.
If they made him like 4'9", it'd be more fun. It'd be like a fun game.
But no peripherals at 5'8", dude. I mean, if he's not making shots, you're dead in the water.
I think he's kind of a pure like games. If you're stacking this game in a tournament, you just kind of add him as a last piece or something like that.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is do you take, especially if Severe is hampered? Because when we initially talked about it, I said, dude, with the top team total, forget about Oscar, dude. You're playing Oscar. There is, I don't know if there's a better matchup in the nation than a home team against Alabama as a big. I don't know if you can name one. So you're playing Oscar. The question is, are you playing others?
Maybe Georgetown.
If Severe is hampered, dude, it's we saw Mintz be less than respectful in the last game of Mississippi State, but he also played through foul trouble a little bit, played 36 minutes and took 6 shots. I expect him to take more, especially if Severe is hampered. But that being said, Bama is like 260th in defensive ISO point per possession. So Severe, if he is playing and still has his feet under him, should be able to get to the basket. So I still – it's going to be hard not to play one of those guys pending kind of Severe Wheeler's bill of health for me.
Yeah, it being a wrist, I think his minutes are fine. And
he can't shoot the ball from further than fucking 3 feet anyway, so what the hell is a wrist matter?
Exactly, yeah. He can't shoot anyways.
Just lay it up anyway.
Yeah. So and he's going to have to play the whole game. We've seen Calipari come out and say that he doesn't want to play Severe the whole game, but he's going to have to because he's not playing Dante Allen. It's a big game, and like we said, we think Bama pushes them here. Kurt, on the Bama side, we've seen the 3 guards, well, I guess the 4 guards, kind of price exactly where they should be the entire year, which has been frustrating because you want to use these guys, but they just haven't been values. Kentucky, best defense in the SEC. It's a road game for Bama. Does anyone on Bama interest you, the guards or the forward merry-go-round?
If there's anything more like a Kurt play, it's Keon Ellis shooting 0 of 8 last game.
God,
Lock me
Keon
the
Ellis.
fuck in, baby. 0 for 8, 7 for 9 tomorrow, 4 for 5 from 3, to the fucking moon. Davion Mintz, throw him in there. Jacob Toppin for value. Fuck it. Big Oscar.
Gavin, our guy Keon has sucked ass lately.
Game, there are values to be had, and me, I am down to throw on the triple condom and play the Bama forward merry-go-round.
No.
Oh yes.
Anything but no.
Oh yes.
Had a bunch of blocks last game. I think Miles's minutes are the safest. I think Gurley has the best upside though.
All of them are going to foul every second.
Bediako's getting his feet under him. He had a good game versus Kentucky last time. He's going to have at least a 3 to 4 foot, height advantage over Oscar.
Which one has the lowest foul rate? I'm serious.
Miles definitely has a lower foul rate. I guarantee you that.
All right, here are the foul rates.
You can sell me on Miles.
So these are fouls per 40.
You got to double them because they're playing against Big O. So double them. Everything we double.
This is on the road too. James Rojas, 7.5 per 40.
Yeah, he's the enforcer. He's literally a meme. He's an enforcer.
I'm just going through them. Joe Gurley, 5.9 per 40. Bediako, 5.6 per 40. Darius Miles, 5.1 per 40. Juwan Gary, 5.5 per 40. So, yeah, I mean.
But Gary's the one that was in severe foul trouble last week when I played him.
Yes, correct. I think Bediako is interesting just because he does have the big time block upside, but his price is up a bit. We've talked enough about the Bama forwards here. You guys know by now that they're risky. I do like the Keon call. Gavin, he's kind of sucked lately, but
I love it when they suck. Oh, baby.
We have good priors on him. I would definitely play Quinn over Ellis since they're the same price, and Quinn has been good, playing a ton lately. I think Quinn's my favorite play on Bama for sure.
Yeah, shooting the lights out.
You want to bring up that stat for Quinn?
This was one of the trendy and popular preseason SEC Player of the Year picks. One Javon Quinterly,
I tweeted this out today. I stole it from Gavin.
33 of 66 from 3-point last year in conference. Now shoot that. By the way, 33 of 56. For those of us a little bit, math malfunction, that's 50%, 5-0. He is 14 of 71 from 3 in SEC play this year. That is below 20%. Okay, not good. Like I'm not playing Javon Quinterly. He's broken.
Yeah, but
I don't know what the deal is.
He's getting there without hitting shots. What if he starts hitting shots?
Dude, like you look at like Shackelford, like in layup in close to scenarios, 64% last year in conference play, 48% this year. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on. Removing John Petty, because it wasn't like Herb Jones was the just offensive dominator.
Man,
I don't know.
That team was so much fun last year.
I don't know.
I loved that team so much better last year.
Havana in the chat has a couple prize pick questions for us. Keon Ellis, 17.5 points, rebounds, assists. And then Oscar, 30.
Keon's going to have 17 points. Just points.
Points, rebounds, and assists for Oscar. That's a monster number.
What was it?
30.5.
Mama. Oh my God.
I don't play much prize picks, but Havana, if you ask me in the morning, I will let you know. All right, let's move on. We got an ACC game here. Notre Dame at Wake. Ken Palm's got Notre Dame 60th, Wake 36th. Notre Dame's won 5 in a row after squeaking by BC on Wednesday night. That game just went 8. Notre Dame's awful in the paint, as we know. Wake's coming off back-to-back losses for the first time this year. Coming home. I think they play really well here. I took Wake -6. Gavin, why don't you start us off here with the particulars?
Yeah, we got a pretty good one. 142 total. Wake, I think at this point, or last I checked, like 20 minutes before the show, laying 6.5. Like you mentioned, Notre Dame on a pretty hot streak. After they got drubbed by Duke, they won on the road at Miami. Certainly impressive. Their other three of their wins after that were NC State, Clemson, and BC. So that being said, Notre Dame is tied with Duke for the conference lead in the ACC. It's just mind-boggling. Like think about, right? I swear on my mother.
God.
One game ahead of Miami, and they're 2.5 in front of Wake. Wake struggled off 2 close losses at home to Miami by 4, and then the Cameron Indoor shot.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, here's another thing to think about too. Wake extra day of rest playing Tuesday versus Notre Dame playing on Wednesday in a double overtime scenario versus BC, where Notre Dame is 327th in bench minutes. Okay, that's going now on the road. That's the reason why I bet Wake +6 for the most part. But it's also how impressive their defense has been. And I don't want to crush you with shot quality stuff, but we get into some of the DFS stuff on this game because it's certainly viable.
Yeah.
You're muted, you mutt.
Damn. That's the first time I've done that in a while. I was saying, Kurt, why don't you start us off with Notre Dame? They get a pace-up spot here.
I can't. I'll leave you on Notre Dame. I've flirted playing with them, and I keep getting it wrong. Atkinson's
all right.
He's down to the cheapest he's been in a while, so he's in play. I know you can attack Wake. All I got is Atkinson.
What about on the Wake side? Wake is pretty much Alondas and JLR.
I love JLR. God, I love that guy so much. He's gonna get a triple-double here soon. I'm pretty sure I almost called was it Mutts getting the triple-double?
He had one earlier, and he was, I think, an assist shy of one the game after. The guy's a fucking machine.
I think JLR is going to play in the NBA. I really do.
Ooh. If you get Alondas and Big O in a lineup comfortably, I'd feel pretty good.
Well, you're playing Alondas over another guy we'll get to later in the show, which is going to be tough.
I've not even gotten there.
Yeah, I think Alondas is going to come in low-owned here, though, Gavin. And he pretty much, walks to 35+ every slate. Battled foul trouble in that last game and still got there. I think Alondas is super interesting if you're playing multiple teams.
There you go.
But yeah, so I think Alanis is super fun if you're playing multiple teams or like the Q or something, because he does have paths to beat like an EJ or a Keegan here, I think. JLR too. But the interesting side, I think, for me is Notre Dame. Gavin, we saw Laz come back 2 games ago, kind of was eased in, and then played 33 minutes in their last game. That was an OT game, and Atkinson was in a little bit of foul trouble. So was Cormac Ryan. How What's your confidence on Laz's minutes here being like 28 plus?
I want to play him. That's my boy.
Because he's at 5'2", and we've seen him mid sixes all season.
He's going to have to play a lot, and it's partially due to the fact that Wake is running these kind of 2 big heavy lineups, and it's JLR in at almost all hours, and then it's rotating out kind of the Dallas Walton, Kadeem C types. And so I think they're going to need Laz's height 100%, especially when he has the foot speed, to be able to guard someone like a Dallas Walton, who somehow, by the grace of God, along with Davion Williamson, has a O rating above 120 in conference play.
Wow, that's wild.
Probably not sustainable. But that being said, you think of Wake, you usually think of offense, but Wake second in adjusted defensive efficiency in the ACC, second in effective field goal defense percentage, first in 2-point defense, third in 3-point defense. Like, it was a little bit shocking to kind of see that. And they got a lot of rotational pieces that make it tough for your life on the defensive end. But that being said, 5.3, I think guard eligible, Laz, right?
What the fuck?
Yeah, we have guard eligible Laz here.
Definitely has.
What do we like? What do we take with his rates? The past, I mean, it's just so bad lately. But I want to play him because I know it's there.
Yeah, here's the thing: is the box score is going to look poo-poo because he had the leg issues against Clemson and NC State. But you look at the 2 games before: 27, 30 minutes, 28, 36, 33, 32, 33, 36, 35. Like, he's going to.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who's playing over Cormac Ryan, and I expect that to kind of seesaw the other way, right? I think Laz is a great play here. Hopefully, he gets overlooked a bit because he's in that same like low mid range that people don't end up on a ton. I have a bunch of interest in him here. Let's keep it moving though. Auburn at Florida, super interesting game here, Gavin. We've seen Auburn really struggle, even though they've won a bunch of road games, struggle to win them and have their worst performances on the road. Ken Palm's got them 5th right now. I think they would be the number 1. I think they're going to be the number 1 overall seeds. CBS is doing their first like top 16 seeds tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. Kurt, so we see kind of where we stand for the top 4 seeds. But here they're at Florida. Ken Palm's got Florida 54th. Castleton's back, played awesome on I think it was Wednesday night. Got over 40. He's priced down a bit here at 8.6. Tough matchup. Gavin, what do you think overall about this game? The spread is enticing, but it seems like a trap.
This one thing that I try to avoid is the most trendy underdog of the week, and starting to feel like Florida is starting to get to that point. So we got a 140 total. Auburn, I think, down to -2 in a lot of spots from 4.5.
It sucks. I'm sorry. I don't think they're good.
You're a Florida State guy.
I know, but I just don't. I think they're just frauds.
Sorry, go on, they're off the 2 straight road losses. They got whooped at Kentucky and then had the close loss at College Station that I can't believe we didn't get the cover on. Just disgusting. So certainly in a buy low home spot against, like Steve said, a team that struggle on the road. Here's the thing about interesting in the Florida defense. They face transition at the 38th highest frequency in the country. I think part of that is due to teams don't really want to set up in the half court against them.
No.
They're 54th in points per possession, in transition. Like I said, they're trying to push it against them. But that being said, once teams go into the half court, Florida 352nd, like one of the longest average possession lengths that opponents are taking to get shots. You know, teams are getting grinded down in the half court. So I think that's why they're doing it. And so it's going to be a little bit, you know, to Auburn's favor, I think, in that facet. I don't think Auburn really tries to play this in an up and down game. And I think there's a little bit of Kessler and Castleton kind of canceling each other out or at minimum capping each other's.
I thought the exact same thing.
To the point where I kind of like the under in this spot. Dude, we've seen Florida play some greasy ass low scoring games. And when you look at the Auburn drop off statistic wise, it's on the offensive end when they go on the road. So, you know, I've taken Auburn unders when there's been way bigger totals, like against Georgia. I kind of like the under in this spot.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You know, both teams top 15 in block rate too. Auburn makes you hit shots from the perimeter. Florida, I don't really trust their shooters. Kurt, I know that you don't like Florida, but let's talk about DFS here. Auburn, we've seen Kessler shatter 5 straight slates. He's on the road here. I just have this feeling that one of him or Castleton are going to get in early foul trouble here, though. What do you think DFS-wise for this game?
It's so crazy Gavin said they're going to cancel each other out, because the first thing I did when I pulled up this game is I looked at the top and I was like, they're going to cancel each other out. It's literally what I thought to myself in my head. I guess if you want 90, I'm not playing 93 for Kessler. I'd rather go Alondas. If it's going to be a half-court game, Jabari can take like some contested shots, but I mean, you're not going to pay 7,800 for him. But I could see him taking a lot of bad shots, where he can make the bad shots. But fuck Florida, and that's about all I got.
Kessler, Gavin, is up to 20.7% block percentage on the year. That's just wild.
I think it was the Ion podcast said that only 13 major conference teams have more blocks than Walker Kessler himself.
Yeah,
that's nuts. That is just
insane.
That being said, listen, you know, we talked about Kessler against A&M, who was 5th in offensive near proximity rate, right? And he got the 11 blocks or whatever. Florida 270th in near proximity rate.
They take so many threes. They take a lot of bad threes and a lot of bad mid-range shots from a lot of bad shooters. That's the issue. And that's not how you beat Auburn. You got to beat Auburn with off-screen action where you're catching Zeb Jasper, Katie Johnson, and Wendell Green sleeping off the ball, because once you have the ball right in front of them, you're not getting past them, and your life's going to be miserable. And Florida doesn't really excel in that. They're only, 198th in frequency in that facet, so it's kind of a tough matchup all the way around for them.
Yeah, to that point, Florida 14th in 3-point attempts. 47% of their attempts are threes, and they're shooting 30% on the year, 322nd in the country. I do like that under look, Gavin. Do you remember what you got it at? I think I see it at 139.5.
What do I have it? Yeah, keep going. Hold on.
We can come back to it.
Where's the while you're looking at that, where's that trending at? Is it trending down or up also while you're looking that up?
Auburn games usually go up just because they play with tempo, and everyone thinks that they're going to score 80 every game. You know, which
I want to do the under.
Pretty much
I want to do the under right before lock tomorrow.
Yeah, so maybe wait on it.
Yeah, it is getting bet up. It's up from 138 to 141.5. I have 141.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, Gavin, you were one of the few on Kessler last Saturday. Are you going to be on him here, or is this a wait and see spot?
No, because the thing is, like, he's in this scenario. He's got to get there on blocks, and I just feel like EJ and Oscar at that price point are so much safer, and so maybe in like a qualifier scenario, you can play him over.
Yeah,
one of those.
I think
he'll
be low owned too.
Definitely on a main line. I'm not going to get there.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep it moving here. Oklahoma at Iowa State. Really interesting spot. We saw a couple hours ago Elijah Harkless for Oklahoma is going to miss the rest of the season.
That sucks.
This it's a huge blow for Oklahoma, a team that's kind of faltering recently. Gavin, I think it might be something that maybe he has been playing through, and now that they've lost 5 of 6 and 9 out of 10 or something like that, kind of folding up shop here on the season, he decided to just kind of shut it down. They turned it over a ton before that injury. 333rd in offensive turnover percentage. That's just pathetic. And what Iowa State does defensively is force you to turn it over. They're 5th in the country in turnover percentage and 1st in conference. So I bet Iowa State -2 here. I think it's a really strong bet personally.
Love that.
Gavin, what do you think overall about the game? And talk a bit about what you think Harkless leaving does to OU's rotation.
Yeah, 127 total. That would be pretty much tied with Texas and Texas Tech for the worst total on the slate. Iowa State lane 2. I tend to agree with the lean. I haven't bet it myself. Just you talk about OU in free fall. Yeah, since they beat Iowa State, they're 2-9 over their last 11, but Iowa State 347th in Haslam's momentum metric. So talk about kind of another team in free fall. Pretty much when you have two teams like this in a power conference just heading the wrong direction, it's just going to probably beg me to not bet it. But you mentioned some of the weaknesses to strengths with Iowa State in the spot, and what Harkless does is you lose what I would consider, I don't want to say elite perimeter defender, but he is a very stout, very solid perimeter defender for that team that, coupled with Goldwire, presents problems for teams on the perimeter. And without him, they're going to be playing CJ Nolan and Bijan Cortez, who I don't know if they could guard a moving Everlast bag. So we'll see. I tend to agree with you. OU 5th in 2-point percentage. They're generating high quality looks through Porter Moser's cut friendly action to the rim. With Iowa State 179th in 2-point defense percentage. So yeah, just discussing all the way around. When we got one of these big old slates, there ain't no way I'm betting this grease fire.
Yeah, Kurt. We've seen Brockington just take a shitload of shots lately. 27% shot rate last 3, playing every minute. Any interest in him here or any plays in the game? With, as Gavin mentioned, with Harkless out, that's pulling out 36 minutes and a bunch of usage. The game's not good though. Any thoughts there?
So I don't really want to pay 8,100 for Brockington, even though he chucks a lot of Iowa State, like these ancillary pieces. I don't really want them. I think you could take a shot on Goldwire. I mean, I know you don't want to spend 6,100 for anyone, but if he's going to shoot, that's a 23% shot rate Harkless has last 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to go somewhere. It's a bad total, but someone's probably going to – one of these guards are probably going to hit value.
Yeah, it's just tough to know what they're going to do here as far as replacing him. They could go big and play the Groves brother. They could play Cortez. They could play Nolan. I think this game is a little later in the slate too. Yeah, it's 2:00 Eastern. So, you might have to make decisions before this game. And looking at the rest of the games, there's one team, Louisville, with some value, but there's not a ton of guys you can pivot to that are cheap. If you're holding a Cortez hoping he starts and he doesn't, and just there's a lot of uncertainty, and we're not exactly playing them because the game is so good, right, Gavin? Any last thoughts on OU's rotation before we move on?
Yeah, you look like, Cortez hasn't seen the floor outside of the point guard position, at least over the last 5 games. So it's hard for him to see. It's hard to see him get the true minute uptick when you got Goldwire and Gibson still there. That's probably the only thing that for sure in this game is that Goldwire and Gibson are going to play 35 plus. Nolan. No, you mentioned Groves. They could either slot Groves at the power forward and put Jalen Hill at the small forward, or just literally 1-for-1 swap Harkless and Nolan. To which I think Nolan becomes pretty interesting at that point if he does start, because that at least shows me kind of where Porter Moser wants to go in terms of a smaller lineup to combat a team that's going to turn him over, that's going to make life difficult for him pressure wise. So yeah. I don't know, honestly, how you make the decision in terms of, do you play your entire lineup before this game on the slate? I've tended to lean towards, unless you're completely sure of somebody on early games, just try and hold PMR, because dude, there has been wild fucking news every which way to Wednesday, damn near every night. Tiger Campbell last night. Like, what?
Unbelievable.
From where?
It was a team suspension, Gavin.
Suspension,
announced 20 minutes before the game.
He was probably drunk one night and didn't wake up for chemistry lab at 8 a.m. I have been there. You don't want to do it, and you might get a game suspension, but you better be damn sure about plays if you're going to be making plays.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Part of the slate.
We've seen at least 3 times this week plays open up late in the slate that have been needed to win. The SMU was one that we kind of had inside info beforehand that helped us, and we did really well on that slate. But yeah, let's move on. We've got a couple games left. Kansas State at Oklahoma State. This is a K-State team that, Gavin, I really like, and they're playing well lately. They've won 4 of 5. They're up to 55th at KenPom. I'm kind of hoping that they make a push for the tournament, because I do like this team overall. KenPom's got Oklahoma State 51st. What do you think about this game? And give us the particulars here.
Yeah, 132 total. Oklahoma State laying 5.5. Spread up 1 point. Now, you said K-State won 4 of their last 5. Oak State is 2-2 in their last 4, but they've lost 6 of their last 8, and they have no postseason to play for, right? Remember? So,
yep.
That being said, you got 2 bad offenses versus 2 pretty good defenses, right? And yes, K-State is 84th in adjusted offensive efficiency, but they're also 222nd in effective field goal percentage and rely on a lot of tough contested guard shots in the pick and roll, where they're 19th highest frequency in the entire nation. Oh yeah, Oklahoma State, the highly switchable long lineups that they deploy, 9th in pick and roll defensive point per possession. So tough matchup kind of all the way around. I lean Kansas State, but these Oklahoma State games with kind of the turnover variance that they bring to any given contest, I just don't even want to bet a side on them regardless. I'd rather just probably bet something live with a team like that.
Yeah, and the one guy that I really like on K-State that I've come around on is Marquise Noel. And when these two teams played at K-State, he really struggled with Oklahoma State's just length at every position. He's like 5'8".
Yeah, he's 5'4".
Yeah, and Oklahoma State's going to throw about as much size at you as you can kind of get. Kurt, any DFS plays for you here, and what do you think overall about this game and K-State in general? We've seen McGurl and Selton Miguel come back recently, and kind of I thought McGurl was going to play a little better than he has since he's come back. What do you think? You're muted, Kurt. There you go.
What's the? I was eating a mango, bro. It'd be too loud in the mic.
Yeah.
What's
the total is 134 on here.
What's the uptick in the Wake Forest transfer? Why has he been getting 20 the last 2? Masood.
Masood. I don't know.
Because he's 35. I might throw a dart at one lineup with him.
I didn't really like him that much at Wake. Gavin, do you
I
have
hated him
anything
at
on
Wake.
him?
I kind of jotted him down, like 3.5K with likely 20 plus minutes and a couple shots at some threes. You don't like the matchup on the road against another long team that's going to present him problems and certainly be able to get out and close on his 3-point attempts. But yeah, he's 3.5K. What the fuck do you expect?
Yeah. I like Mark Smith. That's my boy. Help us out during the week. And Avery Anderson.
Bro, I wouldn't play Mark Smith at 7.9K with other people's money on this slate.
Not 7.9, but I like Mark Smith. I like his game.
Gavin, let's go over to your pokes here. We've seen Avery Anderson clear 30 minutes the last couple games, 23% shot rate. The peripherals are up a little bit, but the price is also up a little bit. He's at 6.2 now. We had him around 5K there for a couple weeks. Any interest in him or Noel or anyone in this game in general?
No. Not really. I don't even know really from a GPP mix-in standpoint, unless you want to start, digging into the bottom of the barrel for the game. You want a Tyreek Smith who's gotten 20 plus minutes but hasn't done anything with it. Sure. You want Masood? Sure. You want Matthew Alexander Moncrief, who, if he wasn't a dickhead, would probably be 6K and a full role on this team? Sure. But for a mainline scenario, I don't know how I'm playing any of these guys from this game.
Turtle in the chat says Marquise is my boy and Mike is my
Dude, I know, but enough. You can't be 5'4" and beat this Oak State team on the road at 7'5". Just knock that shit off.
No. He made a joke with McGurl's name. It was good.
McGurl's so bad.
Yeah,
he's such right. Just like a literal warm body, just like a pull spot on the floor and nothing more.
My uncle does need to play Rondell Walker more minutes, but he wants to play 11. He just wants to be the next Leonard Hamilton.
Baby.
So be it. We've got Iowa at Ohio State. This is a good one here. Iowa 21st at Ken Pom. Ohio State at 17th at Ken Pom.
Ooh.
I like Ohio State here. I took them first half. Iowa's a team that I'm going to try to fade down the stretch a bit. I think this is a good spot for Ohio State overall. Was kind of hoping that Iowa would win that Michigan game, Gavin. We had Michigan first half, kind of got that by the skin of our teeth. What do you think overall about this game? One note before you start. Ohio State, I believe, and you can confirm, undefeated at home this year.
I don't have that note, actually. So good find, but 153.5 total. Ohio State laying 5, I believe, up a point, from open. Yeah, like you said, Iowa off that home Michigan loss. Kind of another team that's been beaten up on the bottom tier, the Big Ten, but really hasn't played well in step-ups. And sometimes where they have an advantage is protecting the ball, first in turnover percentage, but Ohio State's 313th in forcing them. So it's likely not really to be a differentiating factor. I think there's going to be a lot of full possessions in this game, because of the lack of turnovers. Iowa, 3 straight games, 70-plus possessions. Now 2 of them were in Nebraska and Maryland, but Ohio State hasn't played over 70 possessions since January 9th against Northwestern. Okay, wow. So Iowa's now getting the pace down on the road versus an Ohio State team that I have at 7-4 ATS at home. I don't have the straight-up record, but I have the ATS. So there you go, 7-4 at home. Kind of a weird scheduling spot for Ohio State. This is only their 11th home game out of 22 games, and they opened with kind of 3 cupcake, home games to start. So I think Ohio State is a potential buy-on team going forward, certainly in the market.
They have a tough schedule down the stretch. I
think Kurt, 4 to 5 are at home, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Kurt, we'll go to you. Juicy team totals here. We got a couple of studs. What do you like in DFS on this game? And give me a Keegan versus EJ call.
EJ at home. Iowa's so fucking bad inside, so bad. And then also I like the other forward pieces. I'll throw a dart at Zed Key and Kyle Young too, because I will go kind of big with them too. So
that was going to be something that I was going to bring up. Gavin, I pulled up the net rankings while you were talking. Iowa, 0 quad one wins. So that kind of speaks to what you're saying about kind of beating up on the bottom of the conference. 0-6 in quad one.
There you go. This is certainly quad one right here.
Yep. So Kurt brings up a good point. We've seen Key and Young the entire season have been like low to mid 5Ks. We've seen both of their prices drop at the same time, coming home in a pace up. They've been losing some minutes to like Russell and Eugene Brown recently. What do you think?
Michi.
Without Michi, right? So Michi's expected back here, which I think kills Russell and Brown.
Agreed.
But what do you think about Zed Key and Kyle Young? Both at they're at 4.5 and 3.9. These are guys who we've seen as key pieces for this team, and I think are going to be relied on down the stretch for larger roles than guys like Cedric Russell and Eugene Brown personally.
Yeah, initially I was kind of with you guys on the EJ train at home. The more I think about it, though, when you got Zed Key at 4.5K, if everybody and their mother is going to be on EJ over Keegan, and Keegan potentially has the chance to double his shot rate in this game at a couple hundred more, and I can go Zed and Keegan at no ownership, and if Zed does get there, it's likely at somewhat of the expense of EJ. I think it's a really interesting way to look at it, but my gut told me kind of EJ over Keegan first glance, but I'm starting to think about this a little more in that facet because I feel that Key is such a strong play in this pace up at home at 4.5.
I'll have
Do you have any concern with Keegan? We saw him kind of be hurt down the stretch in that last game. I think it was cramps, but I haven't heard anything since the game. But we saw him miss like 6 of the last 12 minutes of that Michigan game. I'm not sure if you saw that, Gavin. Any concern there? I mean, you're paying $10K for him.
So if he doesn't take 20 shots, you're potentially dead. But I'm saying like if EJ is going to be 2, 3, 4 times as owned as Keegan when you got Zed at his price. Yeah, look, the issue, part of the reason why we bet on the Michigan first half was because if Keegan picks up his 2 fouls, it doesn't matter if it's 19-20 left in the first half or 6 seconds left in the first half. He's going to the bench with Brandon Caffrey. So there inherently is a little bit of that on the road. But when you're talking about trying to get to the top of a contest, and a lot of people are going to be having EJ, I'm starting to be a little bit more interested.
It's pretty frustrating that he does that. Keegan, one of the lowest foul rates in the entire country for big men. Let me pull up his season long, 1.7 fouls per game, which is pretty low. He has been worse on the road so far this year, Kurt. Not shooting it as well on the road. That's a bit of a concern. But, I mean, we're talking about a guy who last 5 games to get 18, 18, 14, 21, and 23 shot attempts. Just a total stud. Everyone's talking about Johnny Davis. I think Keegan's a better player long-term, too. I think he's a better pro prospect. Anything else in this game? I think Iowa, it's Keegan or bust for me just because of the deep rotation at guard. I think we made good points on Zed Key. I think he's really interesting here. He does foul a bit, though, so you do have that risk, but it's kind of priced in, right? The price is down. I think if he plays 25-ish minutes here, I think he crushes that 4-5 tag. Anything else in this game, Kurt?
I don't have any problem going both. I don't have any problem going Key and EJ.
Yeah, same. Iowa's defensive struggles in the paint. We saw them last game, right? We saw Dickinson threaten a triple-double, and my guy Moussa Diabate, if I didn't fuck up the second half of the slate, I had a really good team going, starting with Diabate. So, yeah, we've seen multiple bigs get there against Iowa. Pace up. If Murray gets a foul early, we've seen him just kind of play Olay defense, Gavin, the rest of the half. So there is that too.
Yeah,
All right, well,
I just want the record to clearly state that I am so wholly against EJ as a better long-term prospect than Johnny Davis. I just need that to be stated on the record.
I didn't say that. I said Keegan.
Keegan.
Oh, Keegan. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm old and I got a lot of earwax in my ears, so I can't hear. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right,
Mike
let's
can see
move on.
that.
We got 2 games left, about 15 minutes left in the show. Let's do these quick so we can do some picks and some final thoughts. We got Clemson at Louisville, 2 shitty teams in the ACC. Clemson's lost 5 straight. Louisville's lost 7 straight. Teams in disarray, both outside the top 80 at Ken Palm. But what we have seen lately, Gavin, is Louisville kind of tighten the rotation. I think, this new coach, one of the first things he did, and we saw it was him kind of play around with different guys. And I think he's kind of found his core 4 here. We'll start with you on just the quick particulars and then how confident are you that he's going to stick with these 4 guys, because he has played them solid minutes in the last 3 games.
Yeah, 139 total. Louisville laying 1 at home. Not great team totals by either team, but you got a competitive game with, like you mentioned, what seems to be a relatively condensed rotation on the Louisville side. I mean, Samuel Williamson and Malik Williams complete DNPs last game.
Yep.
I tend to think that Malik not playing again is likely. There were such bad locker room rumors about him and what he did to Chris Mack, and the assistant saying you're not going to run me out as well. Then his first game back, He played 6 minutes. His next game, he doesn't play at all. So that's
Sam
fine.
hasn't played in 2 games.
If Malik is out and then Samuel is also out, then we have to look at this Louisville roster, especially because when you're holding Louisville, it also gives you the greatest amount of roster flexibility in case late news comes out at the same time. So there's a couple guys that are really in play. I can't believe we're actually potentially looking at going back to the Jalen Withers train.
I love Jalen Withers.
Here we are.
I played him last Saturday, dude. I think he's actually good. His bugaboo is fouls. He's got 4 fouls in each of the last 2 games, but nearly a 20% shot rate with a good rebound rate. L. Ellis is 5'2". He's played 33 minutes in back-to-back games. He's got a 20% shot rate and nothing else. Dre Davis, that's your guy, Gavin.
I got him in right now. Come on.
32 and 35 the last 2 games. Not good rates, but solid for the price.
Better
and then the 4th guy
than L. Ellis.
Mention the pride of West Virginia.
And then the last guy that's been playing minutes is Jared West.
The pride of West Virginia, baby. Let's go.
And I was going to go right to you, Kurt. What do you think about Jared West and Louisville pieces here? Because I think that we're going to need at least one of them.
Yeah, I like the Louisville pieces here. I feel bad because I haven't rostered Jared all year. West Virginia boy. I mean, he plays so many minutes, but he just has a hard time getting his shot off because he's not that tall. The steal upside's there.
5 points in a month.
Hey, the steals are there, though. He can always get you a couple steals.
Don't be afraid to shoot it, Jared.
He can't get it off. He's like 5'8", dude. He can't get the shot off.
He's listed at 5'11". I'm not sure he's 5'11".
That's what they got Dre Davis and L. Ellis for, to chuck up a bunch of BS. But I mean, it's pretty much Withers, Cross, and Sidney Curry in the front court rotation. So I'm
surprised his assist rate's so bad.
I have a ton of interest in Withers here. I've played Withers in worse spots. I think Clemson's terrible. I'm gonna have at least one Louisville guy. It sounds bad, but this is kind of where we're at. Clemson started the year, Gavin, with a pretty good defense. Sorry, there's like gale force winds here behind me. Their defense is like completely eroded in conference play. They're 12th out of 15 in the ACC in defensive 3-point percentage and 11th out of 15 in defensive 2-point percentage. So no longer really like a defense that you're scared of at all. So yeah, I think 1 to 2 Louisville is going to be optimal tomorrow. My favorites are Ellis and Withers. Gavin, we have to talk about PJ Hall real quick before we go to the last game. He's above 8K now, but man, he is on a heater. What do you think?
He's so good.
He is awesome.
Imagine if he was like, a 35, 36 minute a night guy, with his block upside. And I think he's been running kind of poo in the rebound department lately. I think he's got a little bit of positive rebound regression coming his way as well. Definitely. I still think a GBP mix in because look, we talk about all the guys missing on Louisville's front line. Well, that also makes it way easier for PJ Hall to score and, rack up stats.
Yeah, I think Hall's a really cool tournament play because no one's going to have him here, right? Like he's close enough to the studs, but he's also put up, those 35-plus point games, 27% shot rate last 3. I think I agree with Gavin on the rebounds. Brownell has come out and said that, he's trying to protect him from foul trouble by reducing his minutes, but he's just benching his own player.
That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, so he's really good. A guy who'll probably be like all conference next year. We've seen Naz Bohannon hit 30 minutes in back-to-back games. Gavin, any interest in him here? 21% rebound rate, but just over 5K now.
Not really, because here's the thing. I think that 5K to 5.4K range
really nice
dictates
today,
how you
isn't
do
it?
on the slate tomorrow.
It is. It makes me
100%.
sad because I want to play Chase Hunter because I love playing Chase Hunter.
You better get that 5K range correct, or you ain't going to be sniffing cash, I think.
And I don't think I can play him over like a TJ Shannon. I think Shannon, God, that game's so bad though. I don't know. Let's move to the last game here real quick. LSU at South Carolina. LSU 16th at Ken Palm still, even after losing 6 of 7 in January, something like that. South Carolina 99th. LSU turned over a bunch, last in SEC in turnover rate, but they also forced a bunch, 4th in the country in defensive turnover percentage. South Carolina turning it over 316th, so that's not going to be good against LSU's ball pressure. We got Pinson back here. His minutes have fluctuated a bit. I think his minutes were down last game, Gavin, because it was kind of a blowout. I would expect him 30-ish again here. South Carolina, just kind of like Clemson, started the year really hot defensively, completely cratered in conference play so far, though. Not really scared of their defense. What do you think overall about the game?
Yeah, 138.5 total. The total was actually up 5.5 points at one point. It's only up 4.5 points currently, but interesting kind of note for a total that rises that sharply on an opener in an island, solo hammer game. The one thing that we know about South Carolina, they're going to run and they're going to bang the offensive glass. 12th highest transition frequency. They're actually 317th in transition point per possession, with the 12th highest frequency in the country, versus LSU, 6th best transition defense, points per possession. They kind of thrive and force the chaos. So, yeah, money coming in on South Carolina. This might be one of the times where I step on a road favorite and go with LSU. The one concern is, they have 3 straight wins with Pinson returning, but they got the road tilt at Kentucky on deck. So you do have some potential look-ahead concerns, maybe a first half bet.
Yeah, that's a good point with the Kentucky game. I didn't look at that.
But a lot of kind of stats about South Carolina don't line up well with how, because LSU was the talk of the town the first month and a half of the season about how good their defense was, and yeah, it's fallen off a little bit once they've gotten into conference play, but fully healthy, I still don't think it's potentially as bad as it's swung in the market's perspective.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to DFS real quick. I don't think we're on any South Carolina guys here. We've seen Keyshawn Bryant and Kuznard up above 5K now. LSU with the elite defense. I think they're number 1 at Ken Palm. I think the most interesting guy on LSU for me is Pinson. He played 34 in that close game against Mississippi State. Didn't play as much in that Georgia game. I think it's just because they're kind of trying to monitor his minutes in blowouts and just kind of make sure he's fresh down the stretch. I really do expect 30 30 plus here for Pinson. He's at $6K, which is a bit cheaper than we've seen him.
With
What do you think
Kentucky
about
on deck if he's not 100%?
I mean, if this game is supposed to be as close as the line says,
Yeah.
I mean, they have to win this game too, you know. Kurt, what do you think about Pinson? And then do you have any interest in LSU's trees, Eason and Days?
I love Pinson. He's one of my guys. He chucks. I think he's a good GPP play. I don't play LSU. Sprinkle in some Pinson. Hopefully catches fire. And if he sees a couple go in, he'll shoot 17 times. That's my kind of guy. That's about it for this game.
Gavin, what do you think about Pinson and then Eason and Days here? We've seen the other guards kind of fall to the wayside with Pinson coming back.
Yeah, I'm done with Darius Days. Sub 30% from the 3-point line in conference.
He's dead to me too. I played him
last Saturday and we had Mutt's triple-double.
Dude, he's actually his one redeeming offensive quality is that he's like 48% from far two, you know, like so basically taking horseshit shots and making them. That's exactly what Darius Days is at 7'7". Tari Eason will always have a special place in my heart for the seat that he won me, but I don't know in this spot. I don't know in this spot. Pinson feels like he could have 8 turnovers in this game. He might have 5 steals. So definitely a GPP mix-in. But other than that, man, this game is ugly. Again, other guys on South Carolina, Carter, Bryant, Cousinard, like all within that 5K range, 5 to 5'8".
Yeah, just a real tough defensive matchup. We do have one question going back to the last game real quick before we do a couple of our favorite plays. It was pointed out to me for Louisville, Gavin. JJ Traynor started last game. He's at 3K. He played 28 minutes. Kind of got there even though he didn't shoot the ball well.
Who the fuck is this?
Yeah,
what do you think about
when you're 3K and you play 28 minutes? It's hard not to get there.
Right. So he was 1 of 6, had 7 boards. I think, yeah, it's just that 5th spot. I think the new coach is still toying with. I think that could flip at any moment, right? Like I think he could play cross. I think he could go small with Faulkner. I think he could play Curry. I think he's locked into Ellis, Davis, West, and Withers. And Locke is going to play about 20. I don't know. It's tough because he is so cheap. What do you think? I don't know.
I'm an interim coach, dude. It's like there's no way to really predict quote unquote rational coaching in this circumstance. As you get further and further into the forward rotation, it certainly becomes much more of a dice roll where, if Cross plays 28 minutes and smashes here, I wouldn't be surprised if Sidney Curry played 22 and had a double-double. I wouldn't be all that surprised. That doesn't mean I'm going to play him, but that just goes to show you how variant that the back end of that Louisville forward rotation is, even without Samuel and Malik Williams.
Yeah, the thing is Traynor was out for a long time with an injury and came back, and they immediately started him. He had missed almost 2 months and came back and started right away and played 28.
Maybe he was the guy who was the assistant coach who's now the head coach. Maybe that was his guy, and he loves him.
He probably recruited him.
New regimes, you get scorched earth, kind of everybody start from scratch, and who knows if this guy loves that trainer? Then sure.
Yeah, it's just dicey because it's the last game.
Yeah.
I think it's an island game too, so you only have Louisville and South Carolina. Definitely interesting. If he starts again, it'd be awesome. Just not sure what you're gonna do. I would definitely have salary available to get up to like a Withers or something, right? All right, that's enough about JJ Traynor. Let's go through and give our favorite play of the slate. We'll start with you, Kurt.
Yes.
Give us an expensive one.
Oh.
And I don't know,
a
mid-tier one.
Is Zeb mid tier? Can I go Key? Is it Zeb or
Zed.
Zeb? Zed.
Zed. Yeah.
Zed. I'm gonna go Key. He's been there for like 2 years. I should probably know that. And then I'm not gonna go Big O. I'm gonna leave that for y'all. I'll go Alondis.
Alondis.
I won't even do the 3 obvious ones. I'll go Alondis.
I really like him for tournaments tomorrow.
I'm a tournament guy. Tournament Kurt. That's what they call me.
Gavin, we'll go to you next. Favorite pricey guy that's not Oscar, and favorite guy, let's say
that's not Terry
7K.
Shannon.
No, you can go Terry. Shannon.
I'm kidding. I know he's gonna say it though. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you one that I really like that we really didn't discuss much, but I think is a great play in the upper 9K range, and that's Kofi Cockburn. Like, I mean, we talked about Michigan State's susceptibility and the post-up defense, especially after they just kind of got shit kicked at Rutgers. I mean, the guy's just a freaking double-double machine. I have no issue playing him or being afraid of this Michigan State front line whatsoever. So I'd still probably play him like over a Walker Kessler or a Castleton, to be honest, just because of the floor I think I get from him.
Yeah, he's so safe, right?
JLR, that's pretty close. It's pretty close with JLR, but yeah, I think Kofi is a great play in this scenario too, and I don't think he'll garner much ownership because of the other guys like the Oscars, the EJs, the Keegans of the world. So, oh boy, yeah, you ready? You ready for this budget play that we didn't really talk about a whole lot?
Buckle up, Kurt. Here comes something wild. What do you got?
Yeah, with Elijah Harkless out.
Oh God.
No. Ethan Shagwa. Okay. Here's some stats from SMU last year at 4K. 19th in possession percentage. Okay, so he had good usage. 23rd in conference defensive rebounding rate. 17th in assist rate. Did shoot 35% from 3 as a freshman, but kind of backtracked the last 2 years. But still has that 3-point upside capability, I think is kind of interesting here.
Okay.
And a way to drop down from that 5K to the 4K range if you need to get that extra 1,000 of salary. I'm quite interested in Shagwa on this spot.
Do you think he has a chance to start?
Do you think he plays the 3?
Or how many minutes do you think? Like 25 to 28,
I think he plays the 3 or the 4. Sorry, the 4 or the 5. So if you're in on the them kind of giving up with the Groves idea, then he's an even better play. He's also a good play if we see Jalen Hill start at the 3 and the other Groves start at the 4. I think that gives him more availability and room to play at the 4 as well, because we get that Napoleon Dynamite looking bum who's just horrible at basketball, and Jacob Groves. So, yeah, I got some interest in Shagwa at this point. He's been battling injuries most of the year, but 4K with the Harkless opening, I'm interested.
Yeah, my favorite spend up's going to be Liddell here. Just the nut spot against Iowa. He's had this team on his back for a while now. The rates are just insane across the board. 25% shot rate, 24% rebound rate, 25% assist rate. There isn't really a big man like him in the country. And Gavin, I think the biggest difference with him this year, well, not the biggest difference, but what just puts him into that elite tier is that he's playing 35, 36, 38 minutes. He's not stuck around 28. Same kind of deal, we talked about with Dickinson, right? Like he's pushing that mid to high 30s, and when your per minute rates are so damn good, that's really how you shatter slates. So Liddell's going to be my spend, and I'm going to go to Jalen Withers. This is a guy that I really liked last year. Was kind of frustrated that he wasn't really in the rotation earlier in the year. He's got 25 plus minutes in 3 straight. The fouls worry me a bit, but I think that he has the highest upside of the Louisville guys. I think he'll come in lower owned than L. Ellis here. Give me Jalen Withers as my favorite of like the 5K guys. All right, we went about an hour and a half.
It's pretty good.
12 games, hour and a half. That's pretty standard. Any last words here before we log off, Kurt?
Kunkel to the moon, Mints to the moon. And
Kunkel and Mints. What
Any
can
other
go wrong?
randoms? Everything, baby. Star Scrubs till I die. Star Scrubs.
Gavin, any last words here going into a big Saturday? Any bets off of the main slate?
Godspeed on this slate. This is not one for the faint of heart. I do got Georgia +3 at home against the shorthanded Ole Miss squad. The other thing, kind of when you talk about lack of depth and lack of availability, is especially when you run in a defense so unique as Kermit Davis does in that amoeba defense, it's hard to kind of replace and just one-for-one sub guys when you have injuries like a Ruffin. So I think this is the spot where Georgia at least extends their feet, pacing up Mississippi at home, and probably wins outright, but I'll take the 3 and the 1 unit after the win.
Yeah, my last note off the slate, being a VT guy, we host North Carolina tomorrow. UNC, I know they've been bad on the road this year, but they have consistently pounded us year after year, matchup after matchup. If you're playing that afternoon slate, I think Baycott's under 9K. I think he had 20 rebounds against us in the first matchup. I bet UNC +5. A little bit of an emotional hedge, I guess, because, if we win this game, we have a pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but clear stretch going home to maybe squeak into the tournament here. But
the NIT or the CBI?
We'll leave that for another day. You shut your mouth. All right. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Gavin. RPS members join me in Discord in the morning. One last thing, I will be with JJ on the Run Pure Bets YouTube at 10:30 Eastern, talking up a couple of bets. So join us there, and if not, I'll be in the Discord all morning talking news and swaps throughout the day. So for Gavin, for Kurt, we'll see you next week.